Welcome, my name is Lara Heimann. I'm a physical therapist and the creator of the Lit Yoga Method. This is yoga for men. That doesn't mean it's only men that can take it, but it's specifically targeting the areas for men that to create more balance. Sometimes men are a little bit shy about getting on the yoga mat because it seems like you have to be flexible. When in fact what we're really trying to do, or what I'm trying to do in my practice, specifically from a physical therapy standpoint, is create more balance, create more core integration. So that's what we're after today. So we'll start off on our back, and if you have a block, it will be one of your best friends, but if you have it, go ahead and put it between your thighs. So you're just hugging in to get some inner thigh engagement. We're going to lift up into a low bridge, and to do that, I just want you to bring your hands first on your thighs to give some press into the thigh bones, into the femurs, they're called, and then lift the hips up a little bit. We're trying to engage the glutes here and help you with your balance between the front of the hip and the back of the hip. So many people, men and women alike, get a lot of tightness in the front of the hip. And so what we're trying to do here is set the pelvis to be neutral, to create more space in the front of the hip and to engage the glutes in back. Because the shortening of the tissues in front often dials down the activity of the glutes. So you can just check in by poking at the glutes, trying to get them to be more active. So this is called the reset, where we're reestablishing a more neutral position for the pelvis, since it is the center of mass. And with men especially, their center of mass is up a little higher, but the center of gravity remains the same in the pelvis. So getting the glutes on, and bring the hands up in the air. Spread the fingers. We're going to stretch out the wrist at the same time as we're working the glutes. Take your left hand and grab your right fingers and pull back. So stretching out the wrist is vital. Even if you don't spend a lot of time on your hands, you need to prepare doing the opposite action that we spend most of our day in, which is wrist flexion, as if you're holding your phone or holding a dumbbell at the gym or carrying anything. That's wrist flexion. So we're stretching into wrist extension here. And then we'll do the other hand, grab the left fingers and pull back. Keep checking in that you're lightly hugging the block and working the glutes. These two actions together, again, will help that neutral pelvis. If you feel any pinching or shortening in your low back, you can lower a bit, but we're really trying to engage the glutes, so we want to lift with the hips without shortening the back body. And lower your back all the way down onto the floor. You can remove the block and put it aside. Keep your feet on the floor, but cup your skull with your hands and bring the elbows in. And really feel your head be supported by your hands. The chin is neutral. Take a big inhale. Exhale, you'll come up. Don't think of like a big crunch here. It's really about you're lifting up by pulling down in the front body. So the pelvis remains neutral. Use all the different abdominal muscles to come together into this front vertical line of the body. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. So coming up again, watch the chin, that you're not looking up at the ceiling, but your hands are supporting your skull and not pulling on your head. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. So we're creating the stability in the core, and now lift your left foot off the floor so your left knee stays bent and your left hip is in flexion. And then put the foot down, inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. So we get the abdominals working, the neutral pelvis, and now we're flexing at the hip, pick up the right foot. So this differentiation of moving at the hip and not moving from the back is really important. Put the right foot down, inhale and lower. Exhale, come up. Left foot lifts up, bringing the left knee over the hip. Pause here and hold. Put the left foot down, inhale and lower. Going nice and slow to allow all these muscles to pitch in and do their work. Exhale and lift. Pick up the right foot. and hold here. Check in with your head that your chin is up. You're leaning your skull back into your hands, but your shoulder blades are trying to lift off. Right foot down, inhale and lower. Exhale and lift up. One more time, pick up the left foot, stay like that, but now we'll add a small twist with the ribs, staying off the left shoulder blade. So I'm up, I'm not down on the ground, really staying up here. Come back to center, put the left foot down, inhale and lower. Last one, exhale and lift up and pick up the right foot. Stay strong and steady in the pelvis as you twist just an inch or two to the right. Staying off that right shoulder blade. Come back to center and put the foot down and lower. And then we'll lift up and we're going to come onto all fours. So your hands, fingers are spread, your wrist creases are parallel to the front of the mat, shoulders are over the wrist, and we're going to go into a downward facing dog. Now, if you have a lot of shoulder tightness, you can use blocks under your hands. You would need one for each hand. We're going to lift the knees straight up off the floor using those abdominals that we just were working. Keep lifting the hips high, kind of like you're diving into your hands and your hips are high. Let your head release and move weight back towards your feet. So your knees can be super bent. I don't really care about that, but what I'm aiming for is long length in the spine, front body engagement. Press into your hands without any restriction, without any compression in the shoulders. It might feel like there's some, tightness there, but you'll keep lifting the belly up. Ultimately, your legs can get straighter, but it's less important than the length in your spine. Let the head release. You can shake it out a little bit and take a big breath in here and a big breath out. Now we're going to take your left foot and step it forward. It doesn't matter how far it gets. So it could be that far, and then you'll take your hand and step it farther, right? So we want to always have some weight bearing in the hand as we step the foot forward. The feet are on two separate lines. Come up into a crescent lunge. So crescent lunge, your feet are on two separate lines. Think of like railroad tracks, parallel lines. And the pelvis, we're trying to have that neutral position like you had in your bridge. Not letting it pitch forward, but bringing it back. The right knee might be a little bit or a lot bent to have that happen. And then reach the arms forward, reach them a little bit more, and then try and lift up without letting the ribs move. So hold the ribs in. Maybe your arms come not all the way up. Or maybe you can get them up higher and lift the scapula, the shoulder blades up more. Pause here and breathe. So we're opening up the front of the right hip, working the core integration, not letting the ribs go. Hold it together there. From here, we're going to swing the left arm down and then bring it back up. Swing it down and bring it back up. So we're just trying to get a little bit of some rotation, and now we'll start to add more of a rib rotation to the left, just like we started with the abdominals. Two more like that. This is great for shoulder mobility as well. And then turn to the right for warrior two. Warrior two, the left knee is bent to some degree, the right leg is straight. The left hip is, you want to maintain the pelvis opening, not let the left hip rock in. The arms reach out to the side here, and then we're going to bend the elbows a little bit and just slightly pull back. So many men, women too, but men in particular will have tightness in the chest. So pulsing here is to give you the muscular engagement from the back, but also open the chest. So watch the ribs moving. That's not the action. It's the shoulder blades pulling in a little bit. If you feel any compression in your shoulders, lower and turn the thumbs up more. 2 more like this. So left knee is bent, right leg is straight, and then we'll reach the arms out and feel the expansion of the arms. Bring the hands to the floor and step back for down dog. So again, the knees can be really bent here, but we want the arms long and the spine long. Big breath in there. And then we'll move forward into plank. So you'll step your feet, shoulders are over the wrist, and then the head comes into line. So don't let the head turtle down. Lift it up, and then work all the things we've already warmed up. The glutes, the front body, and not overly rounding in the upper back. One more breath like that. Lower your knees, and then lower slowly, keeping the head of the arm bones from diving down all the way to the floor. Keep the head of the arm bones, and then pull back with your hands to get the chest up a little bit and open up the chest just like you did. Lift into your down dog. Walk the feet in a little bit and take a breath in. And then we're going to walk your hands back towards your feet, drop the heels. You're coming into a squat position here where the hips are flexing and the knee and the ankle are flexing. So just like you did in your abdominals where you pulled that right hip or left hip, whatever foot was coming off the floor in flexion, that's what you're feeling here. You can always take your finger and right into the hip crease, press back into more hip flexion. And that you should feel a pull in the low back in a good way to open that up. And breathe here. Letting the head release, sit back so the knees aren't going forward and your heels stay on the ground. And then we'll walk the hands forward so you're in a down dog again. Getting ready to do the other side. Without picking up your hands, bring your right foot as far forward as you can. Now, say you only get about halfway, take the right hand and help that foot forward. Come up into your crescent lunge where your feet are on 2 parallel tracks. Pelvis gets neutral, left glute comes on. And then we'll reach the arms forward, lengthen out more to lift up. Lifting the shoulders without pushing the ribs. So it could, again, be more up at a diagonal. Breathe here. And then we'll start moving the ribs a little bit. The right arm swings and comes back. Inhale and exhale. And back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. So we're getting that opening of the ribs. One more. And then drop the left heel and turn to face to the left for warrior 2 on the right leg. Neutral pelvis, meaning you're not tipping, but these 2 front pelvic points are in the same horizontal line. The arms come out, bend the elbows, and start to pull back, working the shoulder blades and opening in the chest. Neck is long. And again, you don't want to feel any compression in the shoulder, but you will feel it being lit up a little bit. Last one, and then straighten the elbows, hold there. And then we'll bring the hands to the floor, step back for your down dog, and pause here. Pressing into the hands, knees can be bent, huge breath in. Come forward into plank. Finding that alignment, shoulders are over the wrist, that's why we warmed up the wrist. Neck is in line, not drop down. Work those obliques and glutes. Imagine you're squeezing a block between your thighs to engage. And then lower to the floor, lower the knees, lower slowly. Keep the head of the arm bones away from the ground, not letting them dive down. Pull back for cobra, so you're opening that chest wall again. And then toes tuck and lift into down dog. Bring the feet a little closer. You can be way up on your toes. And then we'll walk the hands back as you drop the heels down for this squat. Taking your fingers in the hip creases to help you go back into your hips, not forward into your knees. You might be really bent if you have a lot of tightness there. That's okay. You can have your hands on blocks. Huge breath here. And then we'll walk the hands and come back into down dog. Pause here for a moment. Down dog is great because it's full integration. Shoulders, all the core muscles of the abdominals and back, and getting an opening for the back posterior chain of the body. And then we'll lower the knees. So this is one that's really good to come back to over and over again and see how does it feel different when you rotate, when you flex at the hips, not tipping in the pelvis, keeping the head in line, working the arms up overhead, stepping the foot forward from down dog and how that gets easier. This can be not only a practice in and of itself, but a measure for how your practice changes. So I hope that was enjoyable for you today and each and every time you practice. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.